as the bright imagery on the screen gently fades into a soft, restful darkness. Allow your mind to slow its pace and settle into the quiet of the evening. Imagine a vast, serene landscape stretching across ancient horizons, where green ridges roll continuously into the evening mist, and the passage of time is measured by the slow turn of the seasons. Tonight, we begin a journey back through thousands of years, tracing the quiet origins of a monumental structure that would eventually span mountains, deserts, and valleys, long before the grand stone ramparts that define our modern imagination came to be. Early builders worked in harmony with the natural contours of the land, placing stone upon stone with patient deliberation. In this tranquil space, there is nothing you need to accomplish and nowhere else you need to be. Simply let your breathing slow, feeling the calm rhythm of rest take hold as we listen to the soft story of ancient hands, quiet mountains, and the gentle beginnings of a wall built across centuries. To discover where this narrative begins, we travel back to the eastern lands of China, along the ancient slopes of Shandong. Here, long before unified empires arose, the landscape was divided into early regional states, each seeking quiet security within their mountain valleys. Around 500 BCE, across the Mount Tai range in Shandong, builders of the state of Qi laid flat slabs of local limestone without mortar, creating a porous dry stone wall that allowed mountain groundwater to trickle gently through loose joints without dislodging the stone face. These early craftsmen understood the subtle forces of nature, knowing that to resist the flow of water entirely was to invite destruction. Instead, by leaving small spaces between the carefully stacked limestones, they created a gentle harmony with the mountain itself. Clear mountain water passed effortlessly through the stonework, murmuring softly as it filtered into the valley below. These walls were not harsh barriers, but breathable structures integrated into the living geology of the hills. In the quiet hush of those ancient mountain nights, the only sounds were the cool wind rustling through the pines and the faint, steady trickle of groundwater finding its path through the porous limestone. Season after season, the sun would warm the smooth gray stones by day, and the evening chill would cool them by night. Yet the dry stone walls remained firm, resting peacefully on the soil. As twilight descended over the hills of the state of Qi, labor gave way to silence. Masons and laborers laid down their tools, resting under a canopy of clear, unhurried stars, content that their craftsmanship moved in step with nature. This gentle philosophy of construction, working with the land rather than seeking to overpower it, marked the soft beginnings of an endeavor that would span centuries. Here in the stillness, the boundary between human effort and nature melted softly away. The limestone blocks, settled by time, became an enduring part of the ridge, sheltering mosses in their crevices and welcoming the mountain mist. As you drift deeper into restful slumber, let the soothing image of these tranquil slopes stay with you, where ancient stone and flowing water share a peaceful, silent conversation beneath the quiet night sky. High upon the rugged ridgelines, where the earth reaches toward the cool sky, the earliest foundations of the wall began not with sudden violence, but with a patient understanding of natural stone. Across the ancient northern frontiers, the air carries a deep, quiet stillness, broken only by the rhythmic murmur of mountain winds passing through pine needles and over ancient granite crags. Here, craftspeople observed how mountain stone held its own quiet tension, waiting for the right force to unlock its form. In 215 BCE, along the steep slopes of the Yin Mountains in Inner Mongolia, Qin Dynasty quarrymen drove dry birchwood wedges into natural granite fissures and soaked them with mountain spring water, letting the gentle expansion of the damp would split 5-ton foundation blocks cleanly along their natural grain. There was no rush in this work, only the slow swelling of grain and fiber taking hours to softly part the massive rock. Each block rested upon the hillside like a quiet giant, waiting to be dragged down winding earth paths to join the foundation line. The sound of water trickling over timber was a soft, steady pulse against the mountain silence, teaching those who labored that strength often lies in patience and softness rather than force. As evening settled over the high slopes, the newly freed granite surfaces glistened under the starlight, cold and timeless, ready to serve as an unshakable bedrock for generations to come. Farther to the west, where the mountains yield to sweeping expanses of amber sand and dry gravel, another ancient tradition took shape upon the quiet desert expanse. The desert speaks in gentle whispers as wind rolls over low dunes, shifting light across a landscape that stretches endlessly toward the horizon. Here, where massive stone was scarce, builders looked to the earth beneath their feet, knowing that soil, when pressed with careful balance, becomes as enduring as mountain rock. Around 111 BCE, near the Juyongguan post station in the Hexi corridor, Han Dynasty site supervisors used standardized pine wood frames called asterisk ban to mold rammed earth layers, ensuring each course set evenly to exactly 5 inches thick beneath the calm desert sun. Layer by layer, workers poured damp silt, gravel, and reed fibers into the timber forms, tamping the earth down with steady, measured strokes until it consolidated into a dense, smooth ribbon of stone-like soil. The wooden frames were then unclasped and raised to receive the next layer, leaving behind horizontal lines that mirrored the stratification of the surrounding desert hills. Under the warm daylight, the damp earth dried into a warm ochre hue, absorbing the heat of the sun and holding it long into the cool desert evening. As night falls across both mountain peak and desert corridor, these ancient structures settle into the quiet dark, fully at peace with the landscape surrounding them. The heavy granite foundations high in the Yin Mountains hold fast against the mountain frost, while the smooth rammed earth courses along the Hexi trade, roots glow softly under the pale moonlight. Century after century, These early builders moved with the natural rhythms of wood, water, stone, and earth, leaving behind a quiet monument carved from patience. The breeze moves gently across the ancient stones and hardened soil, carrying away the echoes of ancient footsteps and leaving only a serene stillness that stretches endlessly across the silent hills. Far to the west, where the ancient trade routes gently dissolved into the vast and quiet expanses of the desert, the landscape stretched outward beneath an immense sky. Here, along the Hexi corridor, the earth moved not with rivers or forests, but with the soft, slow drift of golden sand dunes under the passing wind. In this quiet realm, the edge of the Han Dynasty rested against an ocean of silence, where horizons melted into soft pastel hues at dusk, and morning light washed coolly across ripples of wind-carved dust to bring order and quiet security to this endless frontier. Imperial builders were tasked with raising watchtowers, enduring beacons positioned at rhythmic intervals to keep watch over the desolate beauty of the terrain. Yet, constructing permanent structures upon ground that yielded to every passing gust required a deep, steady patience and a keen understanding of nature's standard balance. Before a single layer of gravel, clay, or woven reed could be set into place, the earth itself had to be measured, understood, and brought to a tranquil equilibrium. The work began in the stillness of early dawn, when the morning breeze had settled completely, and the air lay undisturbed over the dunes. Around 110 BCE, along the desert wastes of Dunhuang, Han Dynasty surveyors aligned watchtower foundations across shifting sand dunes, using long bamboo troughs filled with clear water as natural spirit levels, alongside weighted silk plumb lines. The bamboo, carefully split and cleaned to form smooth, shallow channels, rested gently upon wooden stakes driven deep into the sand. When water drawn from nearby oasis wells was poured into these green troughs, it sought its own level, creating a perfectly flat mirror that reflected the vast blue heavens above. Beside these quiet troughs, fine threads of silk hung downward, held taut and motionless by small weights of bronze or polished stone. By sighting along the undisturbed surface of the water and checking the silent vertical line of the silk, the surveyors could determine perfect angles with remarkable delicacy. Even as the sands shifted beyond their feet, the liquid level inside the bamboo remained true, offering a simple yet profound mastery over the surrounding wildness. This gentle harmony between elementary tools and the raw landscape allowed the builders to lay foundations that would withstand the test of uncounted seasons. Layer after layer, they packed local gravel, salty mud, and dense desert reeds into sturdy courses, each level carefully checked against the quiet surface of the water in its bamboo channel. The process was slow, rhythmic, and peaceful, matching the quiet cadence of life on the desert frontier. As the sun traversed the sky, casting long, soft shadows across the dunes, The newly aligned foundations stood firm and level, grounded in the quiet laws of gravity and fluid physics. The water in the bamboo troughs reflected the changing colors of the setting sun, serving as a calm witness to human persistence, rising amidst the timeless sands. Through these simple, time-tested methods, fixed points of calm were established across hundreds of miles of wilderness, linking vast distances with quiet precision and laying the foundation for a wall that would silently endure for centuries to come. As the ancient path of the wall traced its way further west, far away from the lush green hills and mist-shrouded valleys of the central plains, it encountered the vast, quiet expanse of the western desert. Here, where the infinite sky stretches softly over wide horizons of wind-smoothed gravel and golden, shifting sands, the character of the construction gently transformed to harmonize with the arid land. Builders working on this distant frontier did not have access to heavy mountain granite or dense forest timber, so they listened attentively to the natural rhythm of the wilderness, gathering whatever humble materials the desert oases and dry riverbeds could provide. Far from the bustling trade centers and grand imperial palaces, the work proceeded at a calm, unhurried cadence, guided by the steady cycle of sun and shadow and the low, rhythmic whisper of the desert breeze. In this peaceful solitude, the rising wall became far more than a simple defense. It was a quiet, enduring ribbon woven across the barren plain, offering a soothing sense of order, sanctuary, and rest along the edge of the vast, open world. During the Western Han Dynasty, around 100 BCE near Juyongguan, desert builders anchored quiet watchtowers using desert poplar timber beams, interleaving thick reed mats soaked in saline river water between layers of yellow clay. These sturdy poplar logs, harvested carefully from sparse riverine groves, imparted a strong internal skeleton to the tall watchtowers, while the natural salts dissolved in the brackish river water acted as a natural binding agent, crystallizing within the clay and preserving the fibrous reed mats against decay in the extremely dry atmosphere. As each successive layer of moist yellow earth and woven reed was thoroughly tamped into place by hand, it settled into a firm, remarkably resilient structural block, capable of enduring the relentless desert winds for thousands of years. The construction process was rhythmic and deeply meditative, repeated patient step by patient step beneath the clear, vast blue canopy of the desert sky. Warm sunlight baked the yellow clay as it dried, slowly locking the mineral salts, fine sand, and plant fibers together into a warm, earth-toned barrier that blended seamlessly into the surrounding dunes. Over long generations, these solitary watchtowers and low walls became a natural part of the desert environment, resting quietly amidst the sweeping sands and ancient stone terraces. At dusk, when the radiant heat of the afternoon slowly gives way to the deep, cooling calm of the desert night, the ancient structures stand like peaceful sentinels, watching over the legendary silk routes, The soft, gentle rustle of dry reed layers hidden deep within the clay walls catches the cool evening air, whispering forgotten tales of human patience, endurance, and quiet craftsmanship. Beneath a breathtaking dome of brilliant desert stars, where time itself seems to slow down into a restful, uninterrupted sleep. These historic outposts remain in serene repose, preserving the memory of ancient builders who raised lasting monuments out of simple earth, water, and wood across the boundless desert horizon. As the sun slowly descends beyond the westernmost stretches of the ancient empire, a deep calm settles over the vast desert frontier. Here, along the sweeping expanse of the Hexi corridor, the early earthen walls and solitary watchtowers stand as gentle guardians of the borderlands. Built from layered gravel, desert brush, and packed silt, these outposts blend seamlessly into the undulating landscape, matching the warm hues of gold, ochre, and pale amber that paint the dunes at dusk. The dry desert air begins to cool, and the gentle whisper of the evening breeze sweeps across the endless sea of sand, smoothing away the ripples left by the day. Sentries upon the timbered platforms gaze out across the wide horizon, where the sky melts softly into the quiet earth. There is no urgency in their watch, only the slow, natural rhythm of nightfall taking hold over a serene expanse that stretches for uncounted miles. The faint rustle of reeds in nearby dry riverbeds and the rhythmic crunch of sand beneath slow footsteps are the only sounds interrupting the quiet stillness. As shadows lengthen, the desert breathes a restful sigh, wrapping the ancient frontier in peaceful solitude. High atop the watchtowers, the guardians of the Han Dynasty prepared for the night with meticulous, quiet care. Life along the frontier demanded a deep understanding of the sparse environment, turning humble desert plants into precise tools for silent communication. Gathering supplies from the salty flats and dried channels, the guards assembled their materials with practiced patience. Around 100 BCE, along the western Han frontier, sentries at remote desert watchtowers assembled signal torches using tightly bound desert reeds, poplar twigs, and mineral salts, producing a calm gray smoke by day and a quiet white flame by night that carried peacefully across miles of open sand. These careful preparations ensured that each outpost remained connected to the next, forming an unbroken chain of vigilance without loud alarms or frantic calls. The subtle gray plumes of daytime smoke would rise in straight columns against the blue sky, visible to neighboring towers miles away, while the pale night flames burned with a steady, reassuring clarity. Every bundle was constructed with intentional harmony, allowing the earth to bridge vast distances in complete stillness. Under the vast canopy of the desert night, the white flames flickered softly like terrestrial constellations resting upon dark ridges. Each gentle glow signaled to the next tower that all was calm, casting a soothing light over weathered timber and sun-baked bricks. As stars emerged one by one, filling the clear sky with brilliant silver light. The expanse seemed gently linked by these quiet beacons. The sands below retained a mild warmth from the afternoon sun, radiating a soft heat into the crisp night air. For hundreds of miles, the line of earth and flame held its silent vigil, protecting the travelers and farmers who rested safely in the valleys behind the wall. The gentle glow mirrored the peaceful breathing of the sleeping world around them. In this vast and timeless wilderness, the wall was a continuous ribbon of quiet safety, carrying its peaceful message across the centuries as the world slept beneath the stars. As the sun dips softly below the horizon, painting the vast desert expanse in quiet shades of amber, lavender, and rose, the story of the wall turns toward the resilient ingenuity of early builders working directly with the raw materials provided by the earth itself. Out in the sweeping silence of the western desert, where quarried stone was scarce and timber precious, artisans of antiquity adapted their construction methods to the gentle rhythms of the wind and sand. Rather than fighting the harsh environment, they harmonized with it, using the very soil beneath their feet to construct steady, enduring ramparts. Beneath the vast twilight sky, long caravans moved slowly along ancient trade paths, passing quiet ridges of compacted soil that seemed almost like natural extensions of the desert landscape. In these remote reaches, the craft of wall building became a tranquil exercise in patience, layering humble organic materials and desert sands into silent sentinels capable of withstanding the slow, peaceful passage of centuries. During the Han Dynasty, desert builders laid alternating layers of fine gravel, reddish sand, and woven tamarisk branches using a rammed earth technique, creating quiet embankments in the Lop Nur Basin that have endured for 2 millennia. Each course was carefully compacted by hand, the dense mats of riverside tamarisk offering tensile strength while binding the loose grains of sand together in an enduring embrace. The reddish sand, washed by ancient floods and settled by dry winds, nestled smoothly between the fibrous branches, while the fine gravel formed a protective crust against the relentless desert winds. As night fell over the arid basin, the desert air cooled rapidly. Yet these layered earth structures remained stable and calm, holding the quiet memory of human touch amidst shifting dunes. The organic tamarisk branches, naturally preserved in the hyperarid climate, continued to hold their ground silently, proving that simple, mindful craftsmanship could rival the solidity of heavy stone across vast stretches of time. Centuries later, as the historical narrative shifted toward the northern steppes and cool river valleys, builders continued to refine the ancient art of rammed earth construction to adapt to cold and freezing climates. During the Northern Wei Dynasty, around 440 CE near Pingchang, builders prepared rammed earth core sections by mixing fine pale loess with chopped wild hemp fibers and crushed white gypsum, producing soft, light-reflecting embankments that buffered the core against frost expansion during bitter northern nights. The pale loess, fine as silk dust, absorbed the gentle glow of the moon, while the chopped hemp fibers bound the mixture tightly together to prevent microcracks from spreading under the heavy weight of winter. The added white gypsum yielded a smooth, luminous finish that reflected the soft daylight and shielded the inner core from the harsh temperature drops of the northern plains. As evening settled over Pingchang, the soft white surfaces of the wall glowed faintly under the clear starlight, cradling the earth within and standing as a tranquil testament to the subtle mastery of early engineers who fashioned warmth, balance, and quiet longevity out of humble soil and stone. In the stillness of the midnight hour, these silent ramparts slept quietly beneath the pale sky, resting unchanged as generations passed softly by. High among the mist-shrouded contours of Shanxi, where the sacred ridges of Mount Wutai stand silently against the vast sky, time moves with the slow, deliberate pace of drifting clouds. Here, in the quiet mid-6th century, generations of earthworking wisdom came together to shape the rugged landscape into an enduring, protective embrace. Mountain winds carried the fresh, clean scent of pine needles and crushed stone across the high valleys, lulling the surrounding landscape into a deep and lasting peace. Labor unfolded not with breathless haste, but with a rhythmic, meditative care that mirrored the steady, soothing cycles of the natural world. Each sunrise brought a harmonious balance to the hillside work sites, where long wooden frameworks were assembled along the rolling slopes like dark timber ribbons resting gently upon the yellow soil. Workers moved with practiced calm, listening to the soft murmur of mountain streams echoing from the distant ravines below as they prepared the raw earth, honoring an ancient heritage of building that sought to merge human patience with the quiet stillness of the surrounding hills. In this tranquil alpine landscape, during the northern Qin Dynasty, around 555 CE, near Shanxi's Mount Wutai, builders blended fine loess soil with goat milk and egg whites before packing it between wooden frames, creating smooth, rammed earth walls that allowed summer rains to glide off without altering the dense clay below. This thoughtful combination of mineral earth and gentle organic binders transformed the fine, powdery soil into a surprisingly silky and resilient mixture. As heavy wooden rammers fell in steady, peaceful unison, their rhythmic thuds echoed softly off the surrounding granite peaks like a slow, reassuring pulse. Layer after layer of earth was carefully compacted within the timber shuttering, curring under the warm mountain sun until the wooden planks could be eased away, revealing pristine, monolithic surfaces that appeared to emerge naturally from the soil itself. The resulting walls possessed a remarkable visual softness, catching the ambient light of morning and evening with a subtle, velvety sheen that softened the hard edges of the high-altitude wilderness, standing as silent monuments to human ingenuity. As twilight gently settles across the Shanxi highlands, cool evening air fills the deep valleys, wrapping the smooth earth parapets in a calm mantle of slate blue. For centuries, autumn mists and soft summer showers have brushed harmlessly across these carefully tempered walls. Yet the tight, dense structure of the clay remains undisturbed, holding its quiet contour against the slow march of generations. Far below the watching ridges, sleeping villages rest comfortably beneath a canopy of emerging stars, anchored by the silent presence of earth and stone resting along the distant horizon. The whisper of night wind passing through the tall mountain grasses carries no tone of hardship or hurry, only the deep, restorative breath of a timeless sanctuary. Beneath the vast cosmic arch, the ancient rammed earth barriers reflect the pale silver glow of the moon, inviting a sense of profound, lingering stillness to settle over the resting earth as sleep claims the quiet night. As the centuries folded one into another, the northern border of China remained a tranquil place where human patience met the vastness of the natural world. By the early 7th century, under the quiet skies of northern Asia, whole generations of craftspeople had lived alongside the rising and fading lines of turf, timber, and packed earth. Here, the landscape moved in long, gentle swells of golden loess, sculpted by ancient winds and the slow, sweeping curve of great river bends. Evening on the northern plains brought a stillness so profound that even the fading light seemed to move with deliberate restfulness. Laborers worked not in hurried bursts, but in a steady, rhythmic sequence, aligning their physical breath with the rising sun, and resting peacefully as twilight stretched long, quiet shadows across the grass. The air bore the clean, earthy scent of dry soil, mixed with the cool dampness rising from nearby waters. Across these expansive open reaches, where the night wind whispered softly through tall grasses, the boundary was not merely a barrier, but a peaceful work of patience, shaped from the very ground beneath their feet and anchored deep within the land. In 607 CE, during Sui Dynasty construction along the Ordos Loop, builders blended calcined lime with crushed freshwater mussel shells and fine loess earth, creating smooth, off-white rammed earth embankments that reflected pale moonlight across the quiet steppe. This refined technique drew upon generations of practical wisdom, combining the natural binding properties of riverbed materials with the fine silt of the surrounding plains. The inclusion of crushed shells, carefully gathered from nearby riverbanks, lent a subtle luminosity and exceptional durability to the dense earthen walls, binding the mineral particles tightly together as the calcined lime gradually cured in the dry atmosphere. When the evening sun dipped gently below the horizon, these pale ramparts seemed to absorb the twilight, emitting a soft and comforting glow long after the working fires had turned to embers. The broad surfaces, smoothed by hand and wooden tampers, caught the silvery radiance of the moon, creating a peaceful, gleaming band that traced the subtle curves of the steppe into the distance. As night fully deepened, over the northern countryside. The profound quietude of the open plains returned entirely to the natural realm. Craftspeople laid aside their wooden tools in neat, orderly rows, allowing their tired limbs to rest, while the cool night air gently absorbed the lingering warmth of the newly compacted soil. The distant, continuous murmur of the river flowing through the Ordo's Bend provided a rhythmic, soothing backdrop for the quiet sleeping camp, where workers rested peacefully beneath an immense canopy of stars that shone with remarkable clarity across the dark heavens. These ancient embankments, fashioned from the humble combination of earth, lime, river shells, and dedicated human labor, merged harmoniously with the rolling contours of the surrounding hills. Under the watchful silence of the nocturnal sky, the long line of rammed earth rested completely undisturbed, preserving the quiet memory of patient craftsmanship through the midnight hours, and standing as a calm, reassuring testament to endurance across the silent, timeless landscape. As the centuries drifted like soft shadows over the northern landscapes, the nature of the wall transformed with the quiet rhythm of the land itself. Far out across the vast, rolling steppe, where the horizon bends gently into the sky, construction was not always a matter of heavy granite or towering battlements. Instead, human hands worked in quiet harmony with the native flora, shaping lines of demarcation that felt almost like natural features of the terrain. During the 1190s, across the Hillenburg grasslands, Qin Dynasty laborers formed a 700-kilometer boundary ditch and planted native deep-rooted feather grass along the gentle earthen mound, anchoring the soil into a soft, rustling ridge. Under the vast canopy of blue, the wind would sweep across these peaceful plains, bending the slender stems of feather grass in slow, wave-like motions. Across these northern reaches, seasons unfolded in an endless, calm cycle, from the bright warmth of midsummer to the quiet hush of autumn gold. The roots reached down deep into the dark earth, holding the soil steady against the seasonal rains and winter frosts, turning a simple earthen earthwork into a living, whispering border. Wayfarers and herders moving along the grassland trails saw no dark fortress, but rather a long green ribbon that rose and fell with the gentle contours of the earth, resting peacefully under the open sky while night settled quietly over the steppe. Time continued its patient, unhurried flow, and as decades turned into centuries, the art of building along the mountain passes shifted toward quiet refinement and enduring stone. Where narrow valleys funnel the cool breeze through rugged hills, travelers found refuge and beauty carved into the very stone of the gatehouses. Between 1342 and 1345, at Juyongguan Pass, Qin Dynasty stonecarvers sculpted a white marble archway known as the Cloud Platform, inscribing protective Buddhist incantations across its barrel vault in 6 ancient scripts, including Lansa, Tibetan, Tangut, and Fagspa, so travelers passing underneath would receive a quiet blessing. The stone carvers worked with remarkable patience, their chisels tapping rhythmically into the smooth, pale marble to create intricate relief carvings of heavenly guardians, celestial beasts, and delicate floral motifs. As travelers rode or walked beneath the high curve of the archway, the cool shade of the marble offered a welcome respite from the midday sun or the mountain wind. Each traveler, carrying goods or thoughts of home, stepped into the gentle shadow under the vault, feeling the cool mountain air that lingered softly between the ancient stones. The carved characters, standing silently in the filtered light, bestowed a silent wish of safe passage to all who journeyed through the mountains, bridging distinct cultures and languages with a single shared gesture of peace. Under the evening sky, both the gentle grass-covered ridges of the open northern plains and the polished marble archways of the mountain passes softened in the fading light. The low sound of wind rustling through deep-rooted grasses merged with the quiet echo of footsteps passing under the marble vault, echoing softly through the still air. Here, along the ancient borderlands, the wall was far more than a physical barrier. It was a sanctuary of stone, earth, and spirit, where generations of travelers, merchants, and stonemasons left behind quiet marks of their presence. As dusk gathered across the valleys and plains, a profound stillness settled over these historic paths, inviting a restorative rest and a peaceful sleep under the broad, silent night. As daylight fades softly across the rolling hills of northeastern China, the mountain landscape opens into quiet river valleys where water and stone gather in a timeless embrace. Here, the Great Wall does not stop at the riverbanks. Instead, it gently yields to the liquid paths of the terrain, transforming into stone bridges and water gates designed to accommodate both seasonal rains and the serene passage of calm mountain streams. The evening air in these sheltered valleys grows cool and deeply quiet. Below forested slopes, the Juyongguan River winds peacefully through the valley floor, its clear waters shimmering under the muted glow of twilight. For generations, Ming Dynasty architects sought ways to anchor massive fortifications across these dynamic waterways, searching for harmony between the heavy stillness of quarried stone and the patient movement of flowing water. In this tranquil intersection, engineering became an art of patience, fitting every block so smoothly that the river could continue its journey without pause. To achieve this seamless union over water, builders looked deep beneath the river's surface, creating an extraordinary foundation that would remain invisible to the eye, yet essential to the structure's strength. In 1381, Ming General Su constructed the Juyongguan section over the Jiayu River by paving 7,000 square meters of riverbed with interlocking granite slabs, creating a smooth underwater stone floor that supported a 9-arched bridge wall. Artisans and laborers worked in steady, quiet rhythm with the river's calmest currents, shaping and lowering massive, tightly fitted granite slabs into the shallow riverbed. Piece by piece, They locked the stone together across the expansive channel, creating a vast subterranean pavement, so continuous, smooth, and level that the current could glide effortlessly over it without eroding the soft silt below. Resting securely upon this submerged foundation, 9 graceful stone arches rose above the water, allowing floodwaters to pass unhindered, while supporting a fortified walkway for guards high above the river. This design earned the Juyongguan section its reputation as a marvel where human craft integrated with the natural landscape. Each of the 9 arches acted as both a passage for the river and a sturdy pillar for the wall above, balanced upon the underwater bed of stone. During warm summers, cool mountain water rushed smoothly through the wide openings, while in autumn, gentle ripples reflected the turning leaves along the shore. The granite floor prevented currents from undercutting the bridge piers, ensuring that the river and the wall existed in quiet concord. Tonight, the Juyongguan River flows just as peacefully over those ancient underwater granite slabs as it did 6 centuries ago. The 9 stone arches stand silent and serene under the moonlit sky, casting calm, silvery reflections across the dark water. As night settles fully over the valley, the gentle, rhythmic whisper of water moving across the smooth stone riverbed creates a soothing lullaby that fills the peaceful air. Stars appear one by one above the mountain ridges, casting a soft luminescence onto the gray stone that has endured through centuries of changing seasons. The heavy granite rests quietly beneath the cool current, supporting the broad arches above while allowing the river to sing its unending, tranquil song, wrapping the entire valley in deep, eternal rest. As twilight gently descends across the rolling green slopes of Mutianyu, the mountain air settles into a peaceful, deeply soothing stillness. Here, amidst the pine-scented ridges northeast of modern Beijing, the granite crags curve like sleeping giants under the vast evening sky, softened by light layers of drifting mountain mist. Centuries ago, in the early decades of the 15th century, this winding mountain pass was a place of measured, quiet labor. Stonemasons working under the Ming Dynasty moved deliberately through the changing seasons, shaping heavy blocks of native granite to rest securely upon the high ridgeline. Their chisel strokes echoed softly against the silent valley walls, crafting an architectural sanctuary meant not merely to endure against time, but to live in patient, everlasting harmony with the surrounding weather and terrain. In 1404, at Mutianyu, Ming masons constructed Juyongguan, a rare triple watchtower pass keep featuring 3 adjoining stone towers on a single granite platform, equipped with internal stone cisterns designed to collect and filter mountain rainfall. The presence of 3 joined towers upon one shared foundation was an unusual and remarkably graceful departure from the standard solitary watchtowers found elsewhere along the wall. The central tower rose with quiet authority, flanked by 2 complementary watchtowers that shared its sturdy granite base, creating a unified haven of heavy stone against the vast wilderness. Below the timber-framed living quarters and arched stone windows, deep within the dark, cool core of the masonry platform, the masons had carved out spacious internal reservoirs. When gentle autumn rains or sudden mountain mists gathered over the surrounding peaks, water would slowly trickle down from the granite gutters, passing through natural layers of sand, gravel, and crushed charcoal. This thoughtful, self-contained filtration system ensured that the garrisons stationed high above the valley floor always had access to clean, refreshing water, even during long, dry summer months when the mountain streams far below had trickled down to quiet whispers. Soft, rhythmic patter of rain entering these subterranean stone basins created a tranquil soundtrack for those resting within, mirroring the steady, soothing heartbeat of the mountain itself. Tonight, that same ancient granite platform remains rooted deeply into the solid bedrock, silent and unyielding against the cool night breeze. Time has gently rounded the hand-carved edges of the stone, allowing soft green moss and delicate wild ferns to nestle comfortably into the small crevices between the mortar. As darkness deepens across the mountain valley, the triple towers stand bathed in the soft glow of moonlight, guarding a peaceful pass where cool winds whisper through the forest canopy below. The night air carries the fresh, damp fragrance of moss, wet stone, and pine, gently inviting a sense of slow, restorative rest. The internal cisterns, carved with such quiet foresight centuries ago, remain as a lasting testament to human care and clever design, nestled safely in the earth's cool embrace. Below the sleeping watchtowers, the surrounding forest slumbers in undisturbed tranquility, wrapped in the protective calm of ancient stonework that has watched over these quiet hills across unbroken centuries of night. As the quiet centuries drifted onward into the 16th century, the art of wall building reached a level of refined serenity, where every raw element of the earth was treated with patient respect. High in the forested ravines of Banqingyu near Qinhuangdao during the 1500s, craftsmen fired clay inside domed brick kilns at 1,000 degrees Celsius before pouring cold spring water through top vents to turn the bricks a soft slate gray. This gentle reduction process gave the bricks their calm, shadow-tinted hue, while rendering them dense, weather-resistant, and capable of enduring centuries of mountain frost and rain. The soothing rhythm of water meeting heat resonated softly through the woodland glades, producing thousands of uniform gray stones that were hauled up steep ridgelines to form resilient parapets. As twilight settled over the valleys, the kilns cooled under starry skies, releasing a faint mist into the night air. Each brick carried the tranquil memory of mountain earth, timber smoke, and pure spring water, laid meticulously side by side along the spine of the ancient hills. Far to the west, where the rocky ridges yielded to vast desert horizons and sweeping winds, this same spirit of calm perfectionism guided the builders who fortified the westernmost gateways of the empire, construction in these arid lands demanded an extraordinary harmony between mathematical foresight and practical labor, as transporting raw materials across such vast distances required deep conservation of effort and resources. Every beam of wood, every basket of mortar, and every individual brick had to be accounted for long before the first foundation stone was lowered into the desert sand. Master builders spent quiet evenings under starlit skies reviewing geometry and structural designs, ensuring that every rampart, terrace, and watchtower would fit together seamlessly without waste or unnecessary strain on the stonemasons. The silence of the desert floor provided a tranquil backdrop for these painstaking calculations, where accuracy was not merely a matter of efficiency, but a quiet testament to the craftsman's devotion to balance and order. In the stillness of dusk, as cool breezes swept over the dunes, artisans rested, confident that their careful planning would stand secure against the passage of time. This masterly precision reached its quiet pinnacle at the western desert boundary during the 1506 renovation of Jiayu Pass, where master craftsman Yikaijin calculated the structure's blueprint so accurately that out of 99,999 kiln-fired bricks, exactly one surplus brick was left behind to rest permanently on a watchtower ledge. When questioned about his precise estimations prior to construction, the master builder had confidently assured the project overseers that his calculations required that exact number, neither one more nor one less. When the final wall section was completed and every battlement stood firm against the evening breeze, that single remaining brick was set gently upon its resting place, a silent symbol of absolute harmony and human mastery. Today, it still rests undisturbed upon its elevated perch, caught in a perpetual moment of stillness between the vast blue sky and the quiet desert sands. The solitude of that single slate gray stone reflects the patient, enduring spirit of all who labored across the centuries, leaving behind enduring monuments that rest peacefully in the timeless landscape. As night descends softly across the ancient pass, the wind whispers over the weathered stones, inviting a deep and motionless repose. As dusk begins to settle over the northern frontier, the winding path of the wall follows the natural curves of the granite crests, carrying a profound sense of deep, unhurried peace. High above the sweeping valleys, where gentle mountain breezes carry the faint scent of pine needles and wild mountain thyme, the stone line shifts gracefully from simple earthen ramparts into enduring masonry. Here, along the high mountain crests, skilled artisans and dedicated laborers worked in steady, measured rhythms, carrying kiln-baked bricks and white lime mortar up steep stone paths worn smooth by endless footsteps over many seasons. Each heavy block of granite and kiln-dried brick was placed with intentional care, grounded firmly against the open sky, creating a sanctuary of stability amid the vast and quiet wilderness. The sun dips lower toward the horizon, casting long, golden shadows across the parapets, quietly illuminating the fine craftsmanship that transformed raw earth into elevated structures designed to withstand both the winter storms and the slow march of centuries. As evening approaches, the tranquil silence of the highlands softly envelopes the masonry, reflecting a harmonious balance between human intention and the monumental landscape. It was during this era of thoughtful fortification that structural design reached a refined harmony of strength, beauty, and practical comfort. Beginning in 1569, along the Jiayu Ridge, General Qin Shi Huang oversaw the assembly of over 1,200 hollow watchtowers, where masons fitted interlocking keystone bricks into calm, self-supporting barrel vaults that absorbed mountain tremors. Unlike earlier solid platforms, these hollow watchtowers served as multi-tiered sanctuaries, offering enclosed internal quarters for sentries, dry storage for supplies, and sheltered passages protected from severe winter winds. The masons carefully shaped every curved brick so that gravity itself locked the arches seamlessly into place, distributing weight evenly down to the solid bedrock below. Within these spacious arched chambers, the air remains pleasantly cool and still, safely sheltered from the mountain gales outside. The subtle flexibility engineered into these self-supporting barrel vaults allowed the heavy brickwork to yield gently to the subtle shifting of the earth without cracking or collapsing, creating a quiet resilience that has endured gracefully through centuries of changing weather. As darkness deepens across the surrounding peaks, mist drifts slowly into the gaps between the battlements, wrapping the watchtowers in a quiet blanket of soft gray and silver. The tall stone towers stand as silent guardians over the sleeping ridges, their thick brick walls holding the soothing residual warmth of the afternoon sun long into the cool mountain night. Below, the silent valley floor vanishes gently into soft evening shadow, while far above, a vast canopy of brilliant stars slowly begins to emerge, piercing the clear night sky with calm, distant light. The gentle, rhythmic sound of night winds softly whispering through the narrow arrow slits creates a comforting, soothing melody, calling to mind the quiet night shifts kept by generations of workers and sentries who once looked out across these very same hills. Everything rests now in deep, unbroken stillness. Each heavy keystone, bonded tightly and seamlessly with its neighbor, remains firmly in place, grounded in the quiet strength of simple materials crafted with patient skill, inviting a deep, comforting sense of peaceful rest beneath the vast, timeless sky. As evening descends across the eastern hills, a gentle stillness settles over the mountain passes, where the rugged earth gradually slopes down to meet the quiet waters of the sea. Here, during the late Ming Dynasty, the monumental undertaking of wall building acquired a steady, peaceful rhythm, shifting gracefully away from heavy rough-hewn stone toward carefully crafted kiln-fired bricks in the cool air of the coastal corridor. Generations of workers gathered near ancient riverbeds where fine alluvial soil lay waiting, smooth, dense, and rich underfoot. They kneaded the damp silt with clear river water until it reached a supple, even texture, working methodically under broad open skies, while soft white clouds drifted lazily overhead. The atmosphere of these rural work sites was never one of frantic haste, but rather a deliberate, meditative devotion to craft, where every motion of hand and tool had been refined over decades of collective wisdom. Whispering breezes rustled through the tall reeds along the water's edge as heavy clay was pressed evenly into polished wooden molds, shaping thousands of uniform blocks destined to form the smooth, enduring skin of distant watchtowers and high parapets. Around the 1570s near Jiayu Pass, artisans pressed subtle wooden stamps containing their names, dates, and kiln locations into wet clay before firing each brick to a restful blue-gray tone. This quiet act of marking transformed every simple block of earth into an enduring record of human care, standardizing quality while honoring the personal responsibility of the individual craftsmen who shaped them. Once stamped, the unbaked blocks were laid out to rest in shaded drying sheds, protected from the harsh midday sun, so they would dry evenly without cracking or warping. When properly cured, they were stacked with precision inside spacious masonry kilns, where fires of wood and coal burned at steady, subdued temperatures for days on end. Thin wisps of pale smoke rose gently toward the surrounding peaks, blending seamlessly into the soft twilight haze. As the kilns gradually cooled, the subtle mineral interactions within the clay completed their quiet magic, imparting to each finished brick a calm, slate-like hue that seemed to capture the very atmosphere of a peaceful dusk. These fired bricks were light and uniform enough for workers and pack animals to transport up steep, winding mountain trails, yet robust enough to endure centuries of winter frost, salt sea air, and summer rains. Guided by master masons working in rhythmic harmony, line by line, the cool blue-gray blocks were set in place using a durable mortar blended from slaked lime and sticky rice soup, creating seamless joints that locked the structure into place. Each layer rose gently along the highest crests, following the natural contours of the ridge like a protective ribbon woven into the countryside. Standing atop the quiet parapets long after the day's labor was complete, one could run a hand over the weathered surface of a brick and trace the delicate relief left by a woodblock carved hundreds of years before. It brings a sense of serene comfort to reflect on how many steady, dedicated hands contributed to this vast sanctuary of stone, each artisan leaving behind a quiet mark of presence on a brick that would rest peacefully beneath the starry sky for centuries to come. As late afternoon softly lingers over the northern mountains, the high ridges above Gubeku rest in quiet stillness, wrapped in the cool, soothing embrace of evening shadow. In the 1570s, during the quiet peak of Ming Dynasty construction, this strategic pass was transformed not through hasty defense, but through the deliberate, rhythmic art of slow stonecraft. Masons stood upon the elevated peaks, surrounded by sea-like waves of mountain ranges, fading into gentle blues and soft purples. Their work was not marked by sudden urgency, but by an unwavering commitment to permanence, treating each massive block of granite as a foundational piece of a vast, tranquil tapestry. Up here, where the mountain winds hummed softly through ancient pines, every movement of hammer and chisel was steady, calm, and purposeful. The stonecutters drew strength from the patient rhythm of their trade, slowly shaping the raw wilderness into an enduring sanctuary of balance and order. Each heavy block was hauled up steep, narrow trails with gentle persistence, brought to rest upon foundations laid by generations before them, ensuring that the wall would forever become one with the earth itself. Along the high ridge of Gyeobaeku in the 1570s, Ming masons chiseled dovetail grooves into adjoining granite blocks and poured molten lead around swallowtail-shaped iron ties, securing the stones in a smooth lock that stood silent against deep winter frosts. This intricate and thoughtful technique allowed the massive stone structure to breathe gently with the changing seasons without ever separating or giving way to the freeze. As the warm orange glow of molten metal settled smoothly into the hand-carved channels, it cooled into a dense, protective seal, bonding iron and stone together in quiet unity. The masons smoothed the joints with practiced, gentle ease, wiping away any excess material until the stone surface felt continuous and polished under their calloused hands. There was a quiet, unassuming dignity in this invisible craftsmanship, buried deep within the core of the heavy masonry where few eyes would ever gaze. When the bitter northern winds swept across the ridge, carrying the first light dustings of winter snow, the locked granite remained completely unyielding and peaceful, anchored securely by the hidden lead and iron beneath its surface. The mountain cold could expand and contract the surrounding earth, yet the wall held its serene posture, a silent witness to the passage of peaceful years. With the day's labors drawing gently to a close, the soft hum of copper and steel tools gives way to the deep, comforting silence of the surrounding valleys. The newly settled granite stones reflect the fading twilight, holding the accumulated warmth of the afternoon sun just a little longer against the creeping evening chill. Down in the sheltered valleys below, small campfires begin to flicker like soft, distant stars, their faint ribbons of wood smoke drifting upward into the clear, calm night air. The workers retire to their rest with the quiet satisfaction of progress measured not in swift miles, but in immovable, peaceful inches. High above the sleeping valleys, the wall winds gracefully along the contours of the mountain, appearing as a soft, silver ribbon resting gently upon the crests of the ancient hills. As night descends completely over the landscape, the great granite stones sleep under the vast, starlit canopy, calm and steady, bound to endure across uncounted centuries high above the quiet, mist-laden valleys, where the craggy peaks of Juyongguan meet the drifting mountain air. Skilled craftsmen worked with patient devotion along steep and dizzying ridges. The wind at these heights whispered stories of endurance across the stone face, inspiring a design that could withstand both time and tempest. In 1574, along the high precipices of Juyongguan, stonecutters carved recessed mortise and tenon joints directly into adjacent granite capstones, interlocking the heavy coping stones like wooden joinery, so mountain gales passed over the ridge without shifting a single block. Each granite surface was shaped with calm, rhythmic repetition, the soft sound of mallet kneading chisel echoing gently down the forested ravines before fading into the vast, quiet expanse of the surrounding hills. As evening settled over the heights, the stonecutters rested their tools, watching how the fitted masonry held its ground in total harmony with the mountain breeze. The heavy blocks rested against one another in tranquil equilibrium, anchored deep into the living bedrock. There was no rush in their labors, only a mindful dedication that transformed raw stone into a restful sanctuary, suspended peacefully between earth and sky. Moving slightly westward along the sweeping mountain slopes of Juyongguan, another masterpiece of enduring masonry began to take shape beneath the warm, gentle sun of the following year. The landscape here opened into rolling green ridges, where water trickled softly through hidden stone streams. In 1575, along the mountain slopes of Juyongguan, General Kai directed masons to chisel coarse granite blocks with such extreme precision that the fitted stones formed seamless joints, earning the wall the peaceful name Jintang, or the metal fortress. The work proceeded at a steady, rhythmic pace, where every block was measured, smoothed, and lowered with meticulous care, until no visible space remained between the seams. The resulting structures were so dense and immaculate that they seemed forged from a single sheet of solid metallic alloy, rather than assembled from scattered earth. Rain sloped gently off the tightly aligned granite, while yellow wildflowers bloomed quietly along the lower terraces, softening the solid gray lines of the fortress walls. Masons walked the quiet parapets in the cool air of dusk, feeling the seamless joins beneath their hands, filled with a serene confidence in stone built to outlast centuries. As night descends upon these ancient high passes, the quiet strength of the masonry continues to offer a deep sense of stillness and peaceful rest. For hundreds of years, the interlocking capstones of Juyongguan and the seamless granite courses of Juyongguan have held their silent, tranquil vigil, softened by time, wild moss, and passing clouds. The winds that travel across the mountain ridges carry no harshness now, only the gentle whisper of long mountain grass and the faint rustle of leaves in the sheltered valleys below. Standing high upon the crests, these ancient walls resemble soothing ribbons of stone slumbering quietly beneath the twilight, grounded by human patience and the timeless beauty of the surrounding wilderness. In the deepening darkness, each carefully laid block remains immovable and calm, holding its quiet place in the story of the earth and inviting every restless mind to slow down and rest beneath the starry sky. As autumn twilight settles over the high, wind-swept mountain passes of Yanking, a quiet rhythm takes hold along the timber scaffoldings and kiln yards of the Ming Dynasty builders. High above the valley floor, where the cool evening breeze whispers softly through wild mountain grasses, workmen tend to the subterranean kilns that transform humble river clay into dense, durable masonry. The entire brickmaking process demands an atmosphere of patience and deep focus, beginning with the meticulous washing and settling of fine alluvial silt to ensure a smooth, uniform texture free of coarse pebbles or trapped air pockets. Pressed tightly into wooden frames and left to dry in shaded, well-ventilated drying sheds, the raw earth blocks gradually yield their moisture before being carefully transferred into the dark chamber fires of the kilns. Day after day, plumes of pale smoke drift lazily into the high mountain sky as the clay cures, taking on a characteristic blue-gray hue born of careful water reduction firing techniques. When the long fires finally die down and the clay ovens cool enough for safe entry, the brickmakers gather the cured blocks, inspecting their smooth surfaces and crisp edges under the softening daylight with gentle, practiced care. It is during this deliberate, quiet review of materials that the true structural integrity of each finished block is revealed. In 1576, along the mountain passes of Yanking, Ming brickmakers tested the structural density of finished blue-gray bricks by striking them with small hardwood mallets, selecting only those that produced a clear, bell-like musical tone to line the outer parapets against deep winter frosts. That bright, resonant pitch signaled a completely solid interior without microscopic fissures or hidden pockets of moisture, offering proof that the brick could withstand the brutal freeze-thaw cycles of mountain winters without flaking, scaling, or cracking under pressure. Bricks that offered only a dull, muted thud were set aside for internal filling or lower defensive layers, while the musical ones were carefully cushioned on woven straw mats and loaded onto sturdy wooden carts. Step by patient step, supply teams and laden pack mules transported this sound-tested masonry up the steep, winding mountain tracks, delivering the finest materials directly to the master masons working along the high ridgelines. High upon the crests, masons fit the blue-gray bricks into place with calm, rhythmic precision, setting them into thick, smooth beds of slaked lime mortar, enriched with sticky rice slurry to ensure both strength and long-lasting flexibility. Each course is leveled by hand, creating battlements that trace the natural, undulating contours of the granite ridges like a silent guardian woven into the mountain landscape. As nightfall gently envelopes the Yanking range, the soft tapping of mallets and the distant creak of timber wagons gradually recede into the quiet hush of the evening air. the newly laid bricks settle into their curring mortar, ready to stand firm against the sweeping mountain winds and freezing nights for centuries to come. Beneath a vast and peaceful canopy of stars, the ancient wall rests in quiet solitude, cradled by the enduring dedication of craftsmen, whose quiet mastery lives on in every carefully tested stone. As dusk settles over the high peaks of the northern frontier, a deep and steady stillness falls across the ancient mountain ridges. For generations, the builders had labored along these elevated paths, fitting stone to stone beneath the wide, patient sky. The evening light softens the dramatic contours of the exposed rock, casting long, peaceful shadows across the winding masonry. A gentle mist begins to cradle the valleys below, wrapping the base of the ridges in a soft blanket of quiet blue and gray. In the peaceful atmosphere of the mountain twilight, the work of human hands becomes part of the natural landscape itself, mirroring the slow, timeless cadence of the earth. Here, high above the lowlands, the air is cool and clean, carrying only the gentle rustle of alpine winds through dry grass and the soft settling of dust after a day of deliberate craft. The rhythm of building was never one of haste, but rather of measured endurance, guided by an understanding of the environment and a deep respect for the seasons. Each block of granite and each kiln-fired brick was placed with the expectation that it would stand not just for years, but for centuries, weathering the rain, the snow, and the quiet passage of uncounted starry nights along the rugged granite cliffs of Panlongshan. Around 1578, Ming masons constructed wide access ramps known as *Madao*, laying each surface brick in an overlapping fish scale pattern, so mountain rainwater glided smoothly down into side gutters without dislodging the walkway. These inclined ramps were designed with remarkable foresight, allowing workers and heavy supplies to move steadily up and down the steep slopes while working in complete harmony with the natural movement of water. The masons understood that the greatest threat to their enduring work was not the mere passage of time, but the sudden, violent summer downpours that rushed across the exposed ridges. By shaping the walkway surface with subtle curves and carefully aligned side channels, they transformed potentially destructive runoff into a quiet, orderly flow that washed harmlessly over the brickwork. The fish scale pattern ensured that each brick locked securely against its neighbor, creating a continuous, durable ribbon of stone that resisted erosion while offering sure footing even on the sharpest inclines. With every row of bricks laid in place, the builders wove practical engineering into the very fabric of the mountainside, leaving behind a tranquil testament to their craft. As the final light fades from the western horizon, the great stone rampways rest peacefully in the evening cool. The intellect and patience of those early craftsmen linger in every smooth curve of the masonry, quiet evidence of a profound harmony between human intent and the natural world. The gutters remain clear, ready to direct whatever gentle rain the night clouds might bring, while the paths themselves stand firm against the calm darkness. Beneath the expanding canopy of emerging stars, the wall feels less like a fortress and more like a peaceful bridge across time, anchoring the wild mountain peaks to the vast silence of the universe. The day's labor has ended, leaving the stones to rest under the watchful gaze of the silver moon. All is calm, all is still, as the ancient rampways rest quietly amidst the timeless hills. As deep winter settled over the northern mountains, a serene hush fell across the high, windswept ridges of Jinshanling. The biting cold of the season was not an obstacle to the stonemasons, but rather a quiet, indispensable ally in their monumental craft. High up along the steep, exposed granite slopes, workers labored in peaceful harmony, shaping massive foundation blocks designed to anchor the wall along steep precipices. Transporting these immense, heavy stones across the rugged mountain terrain presented a challenge that warm summer trails could never accommodate. To move such monumental weight with quiet grace, the builders relied on the deep frost of midwinter, turning the harsh climate into an ingenious, natural transportation system. Workers quarrying massive granite foundation blocks along the Jinshanling Ridge moved them during deep winter by pouring water along stone tracks to freeze, gliding the heavy slabs smoothly over sheets of ice. Guided by steady hands and rhythmic, quiet teamwork, the massive stones slid effortlessly over the gleaming frozen pathways, moving seamlessly across the snow-covered landscape. Each slab glided along its frosty path without jarring movement, drifting steadily until it settled into place with calm and lasting precision upon the mountain crest. Far to the east, where the mountain chains finally soften into broad coastal plains, the Great Wall completes its long overland journey and approaches the edge of the sea. At Layalongtu, where the rocky shoreline meets the vast expanse of the Bohai Sea, the air carries the gentle, restful murmur of rolling tides and cool ocean mist. Here, the wall does not simply end at the water's edge. It extends gracefully into the surf, forming a harmonious union between solid earth and the open sea, constructing a stone barrier that could continuously withstand the unceasing push and pull of coastal tides. Required remarkable patience and an intuitive understanding of natural elements. The engineers recognized that raw rigidity alone would crumble against the relentless tide. And so they sought a design that could balance structural weight with subtle flexibility. As the afternoon light fades into soft twilight, the sound of water creates a peaceful backdrop to this incredible feat of ancient masonry, bridging human craftsmanship with the eternal expanse of the sea. In 1579, where the Great Wall meets the Bohai Sea at Layalongtu, Ming engineers anchored the underwater stone foundation by cutting matching grooves into heavy granite blocks and lacing them together with cast iron chains to rest securely against the ocean tides. Submerged beneath the sea, these carved granite blocks were fitted together with exact alignment, their interlocking channels linked tightly by heavy iron chains that absorbed the kinetic energy of the waves. The iron binding allowed the massive stone foundation to act as a single, cohesive unit, preventing individual blocks from shifting or separating under the ocean's pull. Settled deeply into the seabed, this hidden foundation created a silent anchor that has withstood centuries of sea breeze and tide. Today, as evening settles over the water, the gentle sea laps rhythmically against those submerged stones, holding fast in timeless peace where the earth meets the deep, watching over the calm shoreline in quiet, unbroken stillness. As the soft veil of dawn touches the high, winding peaks of the Yan Mountains, a quiet stillness settles over the ancient heights. Here, where the earth reaches toward the sky in dramatic folds of slate and pine, the great ramparts follow the contours of the land with quiet grace. The early breeze carries a cool moisture from the valleys below, brushing against the weathered stone with a hushed rustle. Below the crests, the world awakens with slow, deliberate breathing. Masons and laborers gather near the base of the ridges, their voices low and calm in the gray light, preparing for another day of patient construction. The stone ribbon high above seems almost a natural extension of the mountain itself, holding the calm wisdom of centuries spent in quiet communion with the wind. There is no hurry along these high ridges, only the steady, rhythmic measure of human hands working in harmony with the solid earth beneath their feet. Navigating the steep and precarious gradients required simple, time-tested methods born of deep respect for both animal and terrain. Along the steep mountain ridges of Badaling, builders outfitted gentle donkeys with padded hemp baskets to transport twin 30-pound kiln-fired bricks up narrow cliffside paths in the early morning mist. Step by step, the sure-footed beasts moved up the winding trails, their slow pace matching the unhurried cadence of the morning. The soft padding of the woven hemp protected the animals from the heavy weight, while the handlers walked alongside, offering quiet words of encouragement that drifted softly into the lingering fog. Each pair of bricks, burned dense and durable in lower altitude kilns, represented a small yet meaningful addition to the massive structure waiting above. Together, human and animal forged a silent partnership, ascending through layers of silver light until reaching the working platforms nestled high on the cliff faces. Upon the high ramparts, master masons accepted the dense gray bricks with deliberate, practiced care. Mixing lime mortar from local limestone burned in nearby pits, they laid each heavy block into place with precise, gentle adjustments. The wet mortar squeezed smoothly from the joints, scraped away with wooden trowels, and reused to leave no waste behind. Every brick was aligned to ensure strength against the harsh mountain winters. Created to endure freezing winds, and torrential summer rains without shifting from its bedrock foundation. As the morning mist gradually dissolved into warm, filtered sunlight, the freshly laid courses began to dry, taking on the quiet permanence of the bedrock beneath them. The rhythmic sound of tapping mallets and soft footsteps echoed gently along the battlements, blending seamlessly with the whisper of mountain pines. As afternoon gently waned into twilight, the workday drew to its natural close across the quiet heights. The donkeys were led back down the mountain paths to rest in shadowy valleys, their work complete for the day. High above, the newly placed bricks rested securely atop the ridge, catching the faint orange glow of the setting sun before fading into cool blues and grays. Silence returned to the high slopes of Badaling, wrapping the vast horizon in a restful embrace. The wall stood peaceful and solid, an enduring testimony to patience, care, and steady effort, nestled under a vast canopy of emerging stars. As dusk softens the ridgelines of the northern mountains, a deep and enduring tranquility settles over the high stone parapets of the Great Wall. High above the valley floors, where wild grasses sway gently in the evening breeze, generations of artisans once labored with a quiet, measured persistence. They worked not in haste, but with an intimate understanding of balance and time, shaping heavy blocks of granite and limestone to fit seamlessly against the contours of the earth. The air up here is cool and sweet, carrying the subtle fragrance of pine needles and damp earth, as the remaining light of day bathes the ancient stone in shades of amber and pale violet. Below the ramparts, the mist begins its slow descent, gathering softly in the hollows and cradling the base of the watchtowers like a velvet blanket, as distant valleys slip quietly into evening shadows. Every block laid along these steep crests reflects a deliberate harmony between human hands and the natural landscape, crafted to withstand not merely seasons, but centuries of silent passing. Here, the noise of the world below fades into gentle silence, leaving only the steady rhythm of mountain air moving through the battlements. In the quiet atmosphere of the Ming construction sites, master masons perfected a method of joining stone that would outlast empires and endure through countless harsh winters. To join the massive cut blocks, Ming Dynasty masons blended sticky rice starch with slaked lime mortar, creating an amylopectin bond so resilient that mountain moss and wild plant roots still cannot penetrate the stone joints. As this organic and mineral mixture slowly cured under the mountain sun, blending humble organic grains with enduring mineral elements, it sealed the massive dressed stones so completely that neither driving rain nor freezing frost could find purchase within the seams. Season after season, as summer storms washed over the high ridges and bitter winter winds swept through the isolated passes, these smooth mortar joints held fast, protecting the heart of the ramparts from decay. Even now, after centuries of quiet weather, when one looks closely at the stone, the seams remain unbroken and firm, a subtle testament to the soft ingenuity of those who bound the harvest of the earth to the eternal granite. Now, as twilight deepens into the calm of night, a profound stillness rests upon the winding ribbon of stone that stretches across the sleeping hills. The stars begin to appear one by one in the vast sky, casting a pale, silvery glow over the quiet watchtowers and the ancient pathways that have held the whispers of generations. There is a deep comfort in knowing that beneath this wide carpet of starlight, the work of those patient craftsmen remains steadfast and undisturbed, anchored firmly to the ridges of the world. The mountain air breathes softly through the battlements, carrying away the lingering warmth of the day and inviting rest across the entire landscape. Every curve of the wall follows the natural contours of the high peaks, settling gently into the darkness like an ancient guardian at peace, offering a quiet invitation to rest. In this quiet hour, as all motion slows and the night surrounds the stone, the wall stands in peaceful harmony with the mountains, quietly resting under the calm, eternal sky. As dusk softly settles over the rugged ridges of Jinshanling, the harsh contours of the jagged mountains begin to dissolve into deep, calming shades of indigo and violet. High above the winding river valleys, where the mountain wind carries the cool, crisp scent of pine and wild thyme, evening brings a profound stillness to the construction sites that have spanned generations. Here, among the elevated crags, the ancient masons and laborers worked in steady harmony with the natural rhythms of the land, moving with deliberate, unhurried patience as the last rays of golden sunlight faded behind the distant horizons. The immense scale of the defensive wall gently slows to the quiet, rhythmic craft of individual human hands, carefully shaping raw earth and stone into enduring monuments of peace. Every evening, as the long shadows stretch across the ancient granite cliffs, a comforting calm returns to the peaks, wrapping the high ridge lines in a gentle, protective blanket of twilight. The arduous work of the day rests peacefully now, allowing the cool night air to soothe the warm surfaces of the masonry under a softening sky. In the sheltered valleys nestled just below the rocky slopes, the soft orange glow of earth kilns illuminated the dusk with a steady, soothing warmth. Across the mountain ridges of Jinshanling in the late 16th century, brickmakers burned pine logs and dried cypress boughs inside earth kilns for 7 days, allowing resinous smoke to coat the cooling clay bricks with a fine carbon film that repelled moisture and gave them a quiet matte sheen. The slow, controlled fires drifted like delicate ribbons of aromatic smoke into the cooling evening air, filling the valley with the deeply relaxing scent of cured pine, dry boughs, and warm earth. Day after day, the master brickmakers monitored the glowing chambers without any sense of urgency, honoring the gradual, ancient transformation of simple clay into weather-resistant stone. When the 7 days finally drew to a gentle close, the glowing embers cooled into fine gray ash, revealing bricks that possessed not only remarkable durability against bitter mountain rains and freezing frosts, but also a subdued, velvety texture that absorbed the fading light of evening. Once carried up the narrow paths and set into place along the sweeping watchtowers and high parapets, these dark, smoke-cured bricks rested firmly against one another, forming a seamless, protective ribbon of masonry that traced every curve of the mountain spine. Under the serene illumination of a rising moon, the matte surfaces of the brickwork seemed to merge naturally with the surrounding landscape, blending harmoniously into the quiet shadows of the ancient cliffs. There is an enduring, tranquil beauty in how these heavy bricks settle together, held firm by time and craftsmanship. The gentle night breeze whispers softly through the stone battlements, carrying away the lingering warmth of afternoon labor and leaving behind only the undisturbed silence of the high peaks. As night settles completely across the ridges of Jinshanling, the wall stands motionless under the wide, starry heavens, resting in peaceful solitude while the world below slumbers quietly in the dark. As twilight gradually gathers over the rugged peaks, the ancient stonework of the Ming Dynasty rests in quiet harmony with the contours of the surrounding earth. Along the mountain slopes of Wutai, Ming stonecutters installed carved granite drainage spouts, extending a meter beyond the outer parapets, allowing heavy summer rains to stream gently clear of the foundation stones below. This deliberate design protected the structural integrity of the wall through endless seasons of weather, allowing water to cascade harmlessly into deep ravines without washing away the protective soil that supported the massive masonry. Looking closely at these stone conduits, one senses the profound patience of craftspeople who understood that enduring strength lay not merely in thick barriers, but in gentle movement and thoughtful water management. The rain falling from these stone projections would descend as a steady, soothing cadence into the forest canopy below, blending seamlessly with the whisper of evening leaves in the mountain air. In the soft dusk light, the weathered granite reflects a tranquil twilight hue, as though the wall itself were settling down to rest after centuries of standing guard over the silent valleys. Each granite block bears the quiet mark of hands that labored under sun and cloud, ensuring that even heavy summer downpours would pass softly into the earth below. Further along the ridge, where the terrain rises toward rugged heights, stonemasons brought an unexpected artistry to their functional craft. In the 1580s, along the steep granite crags of Xiangshuhu, Ming stonecutters carved delicate six-petaled lotus flowers into the stone rainwater grates and arched window openings of watchtowers, allowing soft mountain breezes to filter gently into the quiet chambers. These lotus motifs, smoothed by centuries of wind and weather, turned functional ventilation points into subtle elements of grace, where mountain drafts were transformed into peaceful air currents, drifting softly across stone floors. Resting inside these high chambers, one can feel the cool mountain breeze passing through the stone petals, bringing with it the subtle scent of wild pine damp moss, and mountain earth. The inclusion of such delicate carvings amidst high defensive architecture speaks to a quiet human desire for beauty, even in remote outposts. High above the valley floor, artisans left behind a sanctuary of stillness where light and air interact gracefully with stone. The six-petaled blossoms remain intact centuries later, catching the fading sunlight while guiding the evening wind through the watchtower halls with a soothing hum. As night deepens over the endless mountain ranges, the great stone corridor falls into total serenity. The intricate details, from the long drainage spouts of scimitai to the lotus-carved grates of Juyongguan, demonstrate how human skill learned to work in absolute harmony with the natural elements. The mountain winds continue their timeless journey across the crags, brushing lightly against the granite parapets and whispering through the lotus openings before drifting down into the sleeping valleys below. Below the foundation stones, the earth rests quietly, safe from erosion, held firm by centuries of patient engineering. The watchtowers stand silent beneath a vast canopy of stars, their stone windows welcoming the calm night air, providing a sense of peace that has lasted across generations. As you picture these ancient stones resting under the moonlight, let your mind drift with the cool breeze, entering a deep and restorative sleep alongside the quiet mountains. As dusk settles softly over the endless curves of the horizon, the grand story of stone, timber, and earth slows to a peaceful, comforting pause. Across thousands of miles of high ridge, arid desert, and tranquil valley, the quiet of evening wraps gently around every weathered block and smoothed course of ancient clay. What began many generations ago as a collection of scattered watchtowers and modest earthworks grew slowly through patient centuries, shaped by countless hands whose daily rhythms were attuned to the rising and setting of the sun. Now, the cool mountain air drifts softly down through the high passes, sweeping away the last golden light of day and inviting a restful calm to take hold. The shadows lengthen across the dragon-backed mountain crests, smoothing out the contours of ancient masonry until the boundary between human craft and the natural earth gently dissolves into twilight. There is no sound now in these high, serene reaches save for the subtle whisper of the night breeze moving through dry mountain grass, offering a soothing lullaby to a timeless landscape that has watched over the turn of ages. Farther west, where the rugged Rocky Mountains give way to vast open horizons, the story of the wall takes on a gentler, soft-hued stillness. Across the arid plains of Ningxia and Gansu, naturally occurring biocrusts, composed of cyanobacteria, mosses, and lichens, cover over 2/3 of the ancient rammed earth wall, binding fine clay particles into a resilient, living skin that quietly shields the structure from erosion. These minute, delicate communities of organisms work silently over centuries, weaving microscopic filaments through the compacted earth to cradle the historic soil against the wear of wind and rain. In this quiet, harmonious partnership between nature and human history. The wall does not crumble away into dust, but instead softens into a living tapestry of muted greens, soft gray-browns, and deep, warm ochres. The fine grains of silt, sand, and gravel, packed firm by artisans long ago, remain held in a perpetual, protective embrace. It is a subtle and beautiful testament to quiet endurance, showing how time itself can bring preservation rather than decay, allowing the ancient structures to rest securely under the wide, open canopy of the desert sky. As the darkness deepens and the first bright stars appear above the quiet, solitary watchtowers, a profound and tranquil stillness settles over every remaining stone. The long, magnificent journey across steep mountains, sweeping steppes, and winding river valleys comes to rest in this peaceful moment of night. Each layer of rammed earth, each carefully cut block of gray granite, and each protective carpet of living biocrust stands as a quiet whisper from the past, inviting a deep, restoring, and unbroken rest. The ancient pathways once walked by guards on nightly patrol are now entirely silent, illuminated only by the faint, silver glow of starlight and the soft radiance of the moon. Breath slows, thoughts settle into comfortable ease, and the quiet weight of history rests gracefully upon the sleeping earth. The wall, having stretched across centuries and continents, remains completely still and timeless, guarding nothing now but the deep, serene peace of the night as sleep rolls in like a gentle tide.